Step back to the mat. There's the cat, in case you can't see her properly. She's on the messy blanket lying there. So to begin our practice with, let's simply start in a standing position, placing your feet down as comfortable as you can. And you might choose to take your time to do all of this, just walking maybe a little bit from one foot onto the other. Finding a way to stand when you're ready. If you like, it might be nice to begin the practice barefoot, just simply because that first posture is more about standing than anything else. I suggest we begin once you found your distance for the feet to just rock a little bit forwards and backwards over the feet, keeping your knee joints soft. And if that feels good, you could also rock a little bit from side to side and rolling to inner and outer edge of the foot. And all of that might take us into circular motion over the feet. And please do keep yourself soft there. Right, good morning, Ruta and Jenny. We begin standing. We've already started. Notice if you've circled in both directions. And then when you are ready to stand still, this is when I'd really like you to pay attention to the contact of your feet onto your mat or the floor. Allow your knees to be bent to begin with. And see if you can place the weight of your body into heels and the balls of the feet. The toes quite loose, yet in contact with the floor. And from this place now, start bringing active weight down into the feet and start to straighten out through your legs. Begin to activate the buttocks muscles. And from there, then loosely moving your arms and your shoulders, but keeping your foundation now really still. And maybe moving the shoulders also into both directions. We'll allow a little movement where the lower body is still quite still. And I'd ask you to just let the arms wrap around the body. One hand gently behind, and here we bring in a movement of the head and the neck as well. But keep your lower body still for now. If it feels right for you, you could stay on one side for a moment and maybe look over the shoulder. Maybe even rolling your eyes into the corner there. And if you did so, then changing sides. Your mind is still steadying, lower body. And as you might look across the shoulder, rolling the eyes. And as you bring the upper body into center, let the palms of the hands open out and steady your gaze. Maybe you can close the eyes. If that doesn't feel right, please keep the gaze steady. And then notice how you are feeling within your stance. Body became still now. It might still be a bit cool sensations, but maybe you can feel some warmth underneath the soles of the feet building up. I'd ask you to breathe in deeply. Take the breath right up to the collarbones. And have a soft, gentle sigh out. Do that twice more, breathing in through the nose, filling up. Maybe even holding the breath briefly at the top of the inhalation and then a soft sigh out. And one more like this, breathing in. And then as you allow your arms to circle up on the next breath in, let's interlace the fingers, touching the index fingers together as you allow those to poke out. Feel a big stretch now from the soles of the feet up into the index fingers. And as you're exhaling now, bend a little bit to the right. Be gentle, be kind, body still cold. Inhale, come to center. And exhale, bend a little bit to the left. If you can, keep your arms strong. The shoulders in balance as you keep moving from one side to the other. We'll do that for another round before coming into a hold. As I invite you to hold over to your right hand side. Staying active in the arms, active in the legs and the buttocks, but maybe moving the hip a bit further out to the side, maybe. Keeping your left shoulder back, so it's really more length into the side body. Then come into center, and we'll repeat the hold to the left. Same here, just reminding yourself, arms are long, strong, top shoulders back, so we're in our alignment, legs and buttocks muscles supporting the posture, and you might guide the hip out after a little while. Coming back into center and releasing the arms. Notice how you're feeling now. Sometimes we do little movements and wiggles. There's nothing wrong with doing those. Let's take another breath in and lift the arms once again. Now I suggest on the out breath to circle the arms around and rather place the hands into the lower back. If you know your back bends come easy to you and feel really good, you can keep the arms extended. So otherwise, hands in the lower back, fingertips pointing down, shoulder blades closing in a bit, and the elbows moving backwards. Start the same here, legs strong, buttocks strong, and take a deep breath to start arching backwards. If the neck is a bit vulnerable, keep your gaze forward. If it's okay, lift the chin, guide the head backwards. Now, if that is okay for you, needs to be pain-free, please take a few deep breaths in and out while holding there. And when you're ready, lifting the body back up, releasing the arms. A breath in to lift the arms again. This time, please bend your knees and slowly move down into a forward bend. If you can't quite reach the floor, you might want to just pop something underneath your hands. If you can reach or you've got something there, I suggest to walk the legs out a little bit. Similar to what we've done before we settled into the mountain pose, into our standing posture. So maybe just walking a little bit out through the legs and hopefully creating a bit more space there. You could then, after a few movements, come into the stillness And maybe even relax the head down. Now, please be careful how you're feeling today. With high blood pressure, you might keep the gaze on the floor or even lift out of this posture slightly. If you're feeling quite happy where you are, relax the neck down and allow the neck to release completely. If you feel you want to deepen this a bit, you might bring your arms behind the calves. And maybe some of you can slide the fingers underneath the heels from there. This is not essential. If you don't slide your fingers underneath the heels, you will join into the same posture by leaning the weight slightly forward within the balls of the feet. And so you get a similar effect, the tailbone is rising. Maybe if this posture is pain-free for you, you're feeling okay, stay for 2 breaths and bring your awareness to a longer out breath. That might guide you that little bit deeper into the posture. You could choose from here to stand up with strength, as that means to touch the hands, bend the knees and lift up all the way. Or you could switch your core on, breathe out and slowly roll up. This is my preferred version, acknowledging what else is going on in my body. Lifting the shoulders up once you've risen, and then roll the shoulders down. Arms opening again. We've returned back into mountain pose. Now the body might still feel quite cold, so chair poses are very welcome. I sometimes do mine with the feet apart, sometimes with the feet touching. Please feel into yours, which one is the best for you today. I suggest to lift the arms out in front. In this series, usually the palms are facing down. If that's not right for your shoulders, maybe turn the thumbs up instead. And then begin to bend into your knees and into your hips. So in that first variation, the spine is leaning forward. Now, how can we support this posture? Again, feel the strength in the feet. So you're sitting with the weight on heels and balls of the feet. And we're letting the sit bones open here and using the lower abdominal muscles to support the postures. Arms might be just about at shoulder height in this variation, but you could choose to sit yourself a little bit deeper. And please leave the shoulders in their sockets rather than stretching the arms forward. If possible, stay for 1 more breath. Is it already getting warm? Then push into the feet. Maybe lift the arms and extend the body upwards. And then release the arms down. We'll do 1 more chair pose. And this one, I will encourage you to try and lift the heels off the floor. I often wobble because I'm on carpet and on a mat. So for me, there's more stability for this one with the feet touching, but entirely up to you. Let's lift the arms out first in your variation, and then bring the heels off the ground. And see if you can stand high up there before you're bending your knees. But this time, let your spine stand tall rather than leaning forward. This is a really good one for strengthening around the knees, yet we need to be careful if there are already knee problems existing. I do have some, so the knees touching gives me that little bit extra stability. Relax the shoulders down. See if you can hold, maybe the heels can lift that little bit higher, yet still off the ground. And then land it as you're breathing out. And for an in-breath, let's stretch the arms up again, extend the whole body, maybe a mini back bend here to bring in space. And then releasing the arms back down. Now from here we're going to eagle pose. If that's not yours, again, maybe knee or hip problems, you can do the eagle and keep standing on both legs. Lift the arms out first, then bend both knees a bit. And if it's right for you, let the right leg swing over the left, and you could touch the big toe to the floor. Or you can hug the foot in by the side. Maybe some of you will even wrap the foot behind. Let's bring the right arm underneath the left. Shoulder embrace is an option, or touching the hands together. In some lineages, we even interlace the fingers here. So see which variation suits you today. And maybe try making sure both knees are bent to squeeze the legs against each other. Again, we're bringing more strength into our foundation. Leaving the shoulders relaxed, the elbows lightly lifted away from the chest. Last breath here. And then we release that. Lift the arms up, lift your knee, land the foot, and release it. And if your release is less graceful and more wobbly, we'll call it turbulences for today. So as we stand again, let's lift the arms out. Once more, bring a bend into both of your knees and lift your left leg and bring it over the right. Make sure both knees are bent, even if you're standing on both feet. And then big toe to the floor, foot hugging in by the side, or for some, maybe wrapping it around. Be careful with the wrap. It oftentimes brings the hips out of the posture. Let's take the left arm here underneath the right again, either to embrace the shoulders, or to touch the palms, or to interlace the fingers. Notice that these sides are so different, left and right side. So choose your option. Once you've got the option, squeeze the legs actively against each other. Maybe the arms do the same, but keep the shoulders in their sockets and elbows a bit away from the chest. Taking another breath here. And to release, let's lift the arms, the knee, step the foot to the ground, and release the posture. And it might be nice to go for a little walk over your mat or have a shimmy into the hips. The next posture became my favorite with all the problems that I currently have in the hip and the knee, but it might not be yours. So again, I give you plenty of options to start with this posture. We begin with the stance on the left foot again, and we're lifting the right knee. So you can hold just simply here, it's already a balance, but perfect. Or you might take a hold underneath the thigh. Or you might even hug the knee to the chest. If you want to take it deeper, grab the ball of your foot. Steady your gaze. And there's an option now to extend the leg forward. If you find balance here, you might even lower your nose towards the knee. It's a standing head to knee pose. So I'm having a bit of a dance here. I'll blame Sammy. Let's release that. Bring the knee to a bend. Come to stand. And let's try the other side. I've stepped off my mat here, making it a bit easier. Let's lift the left knee. Now again, please choose your options. There are plenty. If you want to go all the way, lean forward, take a hold of the ball of your foot. Steady your gaze point. And then maybe extending the leg forward. Maybe. If the balance is good, you can lower the gaze towards the knee, or holding here, or dancing away. And then let's bend the knee again. Come to stand. Release your pose. The next one may or may not be possible for you. It's the dancer pose. If you choose not to go all the way, as we're lifting again the right leg, you can simply keep the foot hanging in the air. If you can take a hold of it, open the palm of the hand and grab the inner edge of this foot. Before you go anywhere, bring your knees back together. Take your gaze in a steady direction and lift the opposite arm. I like Jhana Mudra, index and thumb touching with this pose. And you might then begin to bring the foot back into the hand. Naturally, that leads your body forward. If you can't hold the foot, that's fine. Just lifting the knee back up and behind. Very good. Come up to stand, take a big breath, and let it go as you're breathing out. We'll try that on the other side, so we're lifting the left foot up. Take the hand out into the open so you can catch the inner edge of your foot. Bring your knees back together. If you like, lift the opposite arm, index and thumb could touch if that's your choice. And again here, it's not essential to hold onto the foot. We'll bring the knee back, but if the foot is in the hand, actively bring it into the hand. So we're feeling an opening here through the left shoulder, as well as through the front of the body. Making sure that the knee actually goes behind rather than out to the side. And then release. As we step back onto the ground, letting that go. Maybe moving a little bit through the upper body, through the lower body, whatever is needed. Our last balance for now is here called a stick, but it's a leaning in towards a warrior three. So I would start a little bit back on the mat, taking the arms up on a big in-breath. And you might come to Charlie's Angel's Mudra, which means fingers interlaced, index finger touching. We will lift the right foot, pointing the toes forward, and then landing onto that foot. And as you peel the other foot off the floor, there's an option to keep the big toe on the ground. Or you're starting to lift the foot and leaning forward into your warrior three. Now you don't have to come all the way flat. This variation, you can play around with the positioning of the foot. I usually prefer my foot in flexion so that the hips face down, but the same can be achieved with the foot pointed. Let's step it backwards. Join the other foot in and release your arms. Big breath in and out, as I know we're all concentrating, so we're not breathing. Quite normal. As you breathe in again, let's interlace the hands in a different way. So the other finger is on top. Index fingers still touching. This time point your left foot forward, so already balancing a bit. And then step the foot onto the ground and peel the back foot off the floor. Maybe you keep your big toe on the floor today, or you're lifting the foot and beginning to move forward. Your choice. Same option here. You can keep the foot pointed, but maintain your hips facing to the ground, or you can flex the foot and the toes are facing down. Oftentimes a bit easier to keep that alignment. Let's step the foot backwards, lift, draw the other foot in, and release the arms. Taking a big breath in and out, maybe having some wiggles. And I will get you from there to use your mat, because for this one, the feet often slide. So wide-legged forward bend. So let's take the feet out quite wide apart. As you're standing fairly wide, aligning the outer edges of the feet now with those of the mat, so at the slightest of pitch and toes. Let's lift the arms out on your in-breath. Soften the knees a bit, use core strength and begin your out-breath to lean forward. Now you could of course place your hands to the floor, or you could place them to the outside of your legs. And maybe if you can reach, you can even slide the fingers underneath the outer edges of the feet. You've also got the choice here to look down onto the floor or to completely relax the neck. The goal as in the first forward bend is to lean the weight slightly forward in the feet so that the tailbone tilts up towards the ceiling and makes the forward fold more accessible. I would ask you to stay there, use 3 breaths, and always lengthen the exhalation there. After the 3 breaths, bring your fingertips to the ground or towards the floor, lengthen your spine. From there, could you fly your arms out and lift slowly up into standing? Release the arms, but keep your legs nice and wide apart. Turning the right foot outwards and bring a bend into the right knee. Now I'm quietly widening my stance here a bit. You can keep it short or widen it a bit more. Watch as you bend your front knee that it's not falling inwards in relation to your toes. So you might bring a little bit of a lift into the arch of your foot. And then lifting the arms out to shoulder height again. Maybe even spread out into the fingers. So we're in a warrior 2 variation, but I would ask you to tilt forward. You can place your forearm on top of the thigh, or you can point your fingertips down on the inside of your knee. Now, if you're resting the forearm down, I suggest to be quite strong there and to press down into the thigh, but not downwards. So you would be on the thigh and you push down and forward towards your knee. That will really switch your torso muscles on. Bringing some weight into the back edge of the rear foot. Beautiful. And as you breathe in, lift yourself up, straighten both legs, release the arms, turn the right foot in and the left foot out. Let's come into that same setup as you're bending the knee again. Watch that the knee stays in alignment with your toes. The back foot will adjust itself, but we're lifting the arms out again. And as you're breathing out, start to come into the posture. Same options, forearm down or fingertips pointing towards the floor. If you're resting the forearm, I often notice people resting it towards the knee. Bring the forearm a bit further up from there and really use it. If you want it as a support, use it as a support. Push into the thigh bone and forward towards the knee to get the strength into the torso. There's also some strength into the outer edge of your back foot. Lifting up as you're breathing in. Turn the feet in, release the arms, and then let's heel and toe the feet in together. I'm going to ask you now to have a break before we come into our seated postures. So lie yourself down onto the mat into a Shavasana pose. If you can, the legs preferably out long, but that might not be realistic if your lower back is uncomfortable or something else doesn't quite work in this position. Feet down is perfect. Arms away from the body, palms facing upwards. And the subtlest of chin tucks to bring length into back of the neck. Closing the eyes. And becoming real still for a few breaths. Allowing yourself to breathe deeply in and out of the nose. To notice how the body's feeling now. And then to even let the breath ease. To find the softness in your breathing. Noticing if the mind wanders. And while you might keep this sense of quiet within, bringing your right knee up towards your chest and embracing it as you hug it in. Now, if it works for you to extend your left leg out, this might feel good. And just keep the knee hugged in towards the chest. You might relax the shoulders down and just keep holding it here. Noticing which angle you've chosen for your knee as it comes in. Is it straight out to the side, a bit inwards, and just noticing your own preferences. You can play around with them, but not necessary. Breathe in deeply. And if that works for you, on an out breath, lift your nose up towards your knee. And then releasing the upper body back down. I suggest to go quite strongly in releasing the leg to the floor. If that's not yours, you can simply bring it down. In my variation, the arms are extending alongside the body and the leg extends up to the ceiling now. Flexing the foot so the heel actively pushes upwards. You might feel some length in the back of the leg too. Now draw the lower abdomen inwards and breathe out to lower the leg down slowly. Keep it real slow if you're engaging in it. If any pain comes up, please bend the knee. Otherwise, release the leg down slowly. And once done so, you might even give it a little shake. If you need to step your feet down onto the floor for the other side, please do so. Otherwise, bringing the left knee into the chest and embracing it. If you usually interlace your fingers, you might want to swap the interlace here too. Relax the shoulders down, and whether your right leg is extended or not is up to how that feels in your body. Once more, as you enter this posture, notice where is your knee pointing. Acknowledging that, and if you like playing around with the angle, keep your knees squeezed in towards the body. Inhaling. And on the out breath, maybe lifting your nose up towards your knee. And releasing the upper body back down onto the mat. Same option, you can let the leg come down or you place your arms alongside the body, palms to the floor, extending the left leg up and pushing the heel up towards the ceiling. Drawing the lower abdomen in and on the exhalation, lowering the straight leg slowly down towards the floor. Doesn't work for you, bend the knee instead. Again, you might shake the leg out once it has landed. Pause for a breath. Step your feet down if you need to. And we will bring both knees in towards the chest. You might hold onto the shins as you draw the legs in towards the body. Maybe you're holding onto the knees themselves. Again, let the shoulders soften. They're not part of this posture. And let the knees squeeze in quite nicely. If you feel this is appropriate, you could spend a moment rocking from side to side. And maybe that gives you a bit more ease in the pelvis or in the lower back. But then holding the legs in. Taking a breath in through your nose. And if you like, on the exhalation, lift your nose again up to the knees. I will encourage you now to embrace the knees even more. Maybe hold on to your elbows. And if that works for you, then placing the head back down, but keeping yourself in that nice wrapped up bundle. One more breath. And as you release the embrace, I'll give you the same options again. Either step your feet down or lower the arms down by your sides and extend both legs up to the ceiling. Flexing the feet so the heels are pushing upwards. Engaging your lower abdomen. And an out breath to lower both legs. It doesn't mean you need to go all the way. You take it to the point that feels right for you. And you might then bend the knees, but if you bend your knees, move very slowly. You've completed that. If possible, lengthen the legs out, give them a shake. Not possible, feet on the ground is fine too. Now let's bring ourselves up to sitting. If you need support for that, please do support yourself. If you want to use your core, stretch the arms up over your head as you breathe in. Hook the thumbs up and spread all your fingers out. Flex the feet as if you are standing on them. Take a deep breath in. One push out of the mouth. The first half of your breath to sit yourself up. The second half to fold forward. Maybe your hands aren't quite reaching your feet. Maybe your hands are resting somewhere on your legs. Let's lift the gaze forward and draw the shoulders gently into the sockets. Then lift yourself up to sitting and swing the feet around so you can come to lie down on your front. Placing your hands underneath your shoulders. Lengthening the legs out onto the floor. And as you take a breath in, let's lift for a cobra. Doesn't have to be high. Could even be unsupported. I prefer the unsupported variation as it helps me to strengthen the back. Whereas sometimes when we're pushing really high, we're actually hanging in the lower back. So be mindful where you're taking even the cobra. Keep your legs engaged. Tops of the feet on the floor. And as you're breathing out, let's slide the arms out. Place your right ear onto the mat. And you have choices here as well to release. You can touch your big toes. Heels rolling out, you might shimmy a little bit into the pelvis. Or for some, it might be nice to bend the knees and let the lower legs sway from side to side. So all of these options are now available to you after each and every back bend that we will do. Let's center the body again. So resting the chin down onto the floor. I ask you to bring your arms by the sides of the body and then turn the thumbs outwards so the palms of the hands are on the mat. If possible, Roll from side to side to get your hands underneath the body. This is not possible for everyone, and it will perfectly be fine. Just slide the hands in a little, point the thumbs out. Keep the chin resting on the floor. As you breathe in, lift your right leg. Point out through the toes. Keep the hips in balance. And breath out to release that. Other side. Breath in, lift the left leg. Point out through the toes, pelvis in balance. Pause. And release. The obvious is there to come as you breathe in, lift both. Now, I'm not a good master of this posture, but what does it matter? Nothing at all. If you are able to lift the whole legs off the floor, maybe even let the hips come to fly. Don't look at me, I'm not even attempting it. But if your body allows you to, let's lift up all the way. And we will release both legs down. Rolling side to side, get the arms out from underneath. Palms might face up, left ear to the mat. And all these release techniques are there for you to choose from. As you come back onto the front again, stretch the arms out sideways now. Bring your legs to touch if that's possible for you. And this time we'll take a deep breath, lifting the legs and the arms, flying the head off the floor, stretching out into the fingers, pointing out into the toes. See if you can hold this for a few breaths. Maybe you can even turn your thumbs a little bit upwards to bring more openness into chest and shoulders. Maybe that takes you higher into a flight mode. And then release it. Relax the arms back by your sides, right ear back to the mat. You can close the eyes. You can work with a release or just come into stillness. Maybe you're feeling your heart beating, the breath pushing against the mat. Now, the last one on our front is actually a full bow pose. If you feel this is highly inappropriate for you or you can't quite reach your feet, don't force yourself. Choose any of the previous back bends and go with those. If you would like to try, center your head, bend both of your knees. A good indicator is that if you can catch both feet at the same time, you're likely to be safe in this pose. If you caught your feet, bring the knees back in. So you might even start with them fairly close. As you push the feet into the hands from here, the legs might be lifting. Avoiding to let the knees drift apart. There's a good likelihood you're jamming into your lower back. So keeping the legs slightly engaged, moving in towards each other rather than apart. Lifting as high as you can possibly go. Take one more breath there. And then release into the posture of resting. Turning the head again so the left ear is to the ground. Maybe a release, maybe not. From there, bring the hands down by your sides. Push yourself up onto all fours. And then sit back towards the heels. You might choose to keep your arms extended towards the front for a child's pose. If you can, resting the head down. You could also soften the arms if that's better for the shoulders, the upper back. The hips by no means have to come all the way back towards the heels. And if this is a too strong pull on your lower back, you might play around and tuck the toes under and notice if that helps. Softness comes into the body and you're allowing your breath to just move. Maybe gently pushing against the thighs. And then from this position, let's walk the hands back in towards your knees, lifting the torso, and then also coming off your heels as you separate the knees a little. We go into one more back bend if that is your choice. If you can't kneel today, I've got plenty of cushioning here, so mine is safe. You could do another standing back bend. It literally is the same positioning. So I invite you to bring the hands back into your lower back, point the fingers down, move the shoulder blades and elbows closer. Start to engage into the buttocks muscles and begin to lift your heart space as you're breathing in. If the neck is sore, you might just stay here. If it isn't, lift your chin and carefully guide the head backwards. Make sure that you're still supporting the glute muscles switched on and the heart is lifting upwards rather than you leaning backwards. Maybe take a breath right into your heart center, opening through the lungs a bit more. And then take yourself back up carefully. And you might even move slightly sideways as you bring your hips back towards the heels. As we move into a light inversion, please make sure that it is for you. If it makes you a bit nauseous, please keep the head up. If you can, take a hold of your heels into a rabbit pose, tuck the chin in, place the head down. This is the first variation where you could stay or you could place your hands onto the floor if you need that support. If you prefer, lift your hips off your heels and roll to the top of the head. It could be quite nice to feel that stimulation. For some, it is really unpleasant. If it is unpleasant, please sit your hips back. Otherwise, stay here. 2 more breaths. And when you return, I will ask you to sit back to the heels and stack your fists. Releasing the forehead onto stacked fists. Allow yourself a couple more breaths just in this position before you're curling your body up into sitting and take your legs out in front. Now my room is fairly cold, so my choice is to put my socks on right now. If you feel you need to do the same, do so. We're not too far away from relaxation, so you might even gather the other things around you as well. We begin with a head to knee pose seated, so the right leg might bend. If your knee isn't up for it or the hip is challenged, you can have the foot anywhere along the leg. If you want the full expression of the pose, slide the foot up, right up to the inner thigh. Walk out through the sit bones once you've done that. So you're turning your body slightly towards your extended leg. Take the toes up towards the ceiling, and you could bend the knee to start with. Lifting the arms on a deep breath in. And as you're breathing out, either with fully extended arms or soft arms, start to lean forward. And you can place the hands either side of your legs. And as you breathe in, lift through the crown of the head towards your toes. And then breathe out to deepen this pose. And this might be even a movement that you keep going as we're in this posture. Keeping the leg aligned with the toes facing upwards. And for all, it's the out breath that takes you deeper. The knee does not have to be straight at all. You can have it in as much of a bend as is required for your own body. Stay there, breathe. To release the posture, I suggest we're walking the hands back, guiding the right knee up. And if it works for you, even stepping the foot across the leg. If this is too far, you can step the foot down onto the floor. Hold onto this knee. Lift yourself up nice and tall as you breathe in. Then take the right hand fingertips behind. And from there, go into a twist as you're breathing out. Once you're here, you can still adjust your posture, wrap your arm around your knee, or even take the arm to the outside of the knee. Please make sure that you stay upright in your seat and that the fingertips behind are just there as a support. Last breath here. And then unwind. Extending the right leg out as we're changing sides, bend your left knee. And the same here, the foot could literally be anywhere against the leg. Walk out through the sit bones, approaching to face the straight leg. Flex the foot, so toes up to the ceiling, knee might be bent to start with safer variation. And a breath in to lift the arms up, lengthen the spine. And a breath out as you're folding right from your hips, landing your hands where it's comfortable, and breathing in to draw the crown of the head towards the toes. And an out breath then to deepen. And the same as we did on the other side, you could stay with this light wave in the posture, or you could solely concentrate on each out breath. Stay with it, few more breaths. Notice if it's better for you to bend the knee or to straighten the leg. To come out of the pose, we'll walk the hands back again. Lifting the left knee, and you can keep the foot here by the side of the leg or take the foot across. Embrace this leg, draw yourself long on the inhalation. Then place your left hand fingertips behind, then go into a twist. And you might then decide that it's better to hug the knee in or to bring the arm to the outside of the leg. Whichever variation is yours. You might close the eyes, stay with the twist, long, tall seat. And as you breathe in, center yourself again, extending your legs out in front. As usual, an hour isn't long enough. I don't know how to manage 45 minutes. Let's take a breath in to lift the arms up. And on the out breath, roll down your back. Once you're lying on your back, please cushion yourself out. Have any last little wiggles or movement that you might need before you come into complete rest. As you become comfortable in your resting position, allow for a little while of nothing, where there is just the breath that is keeping its flow, which might be your point of concentration. Noticing when the mind wanders and guiding it back to your breath. Noticing if your body is feeling rather light or heavy. The card that came up for our practice today is from the Namaste deck, and it says, "A blessing from the light. You are dearly loved, more than you can possibly imagine, and you are never alone. A universe of love and light surrounds you and showers you with blessings that ebb and flow in your heart." And with these words, we might stretch the arms out wide on the next breath in. And then embrace yourself on a breath out. Give yourself a hug. And as you stretch the arms out one more time for a second hug, which is change the arm on top. I ask you to gently make your way into a seated position. Touching there, the hands together again in front of the heart space. As we extend our awareness to each other, Namaste.